There are many complexities in a successful mid-market M&A transaction. This was certainly the case for this year's BDO Mid-Market M&A Transaction of the Year, awarded to Cameron Partners and Forsyth Barr. Such transactions often involve careful management of complex issues with multiple parties. As proud sponsors of this award, it was great to see them recognised for their respective roles in the acquisition of Kapura and the merger with JoyLab. We heard from the parties involved at the recent INFINZ event.
We were approached by Kapura to help them on a capital raise journey to raise growth capital to continue conquering the hospitality world in New Zealand, and we ended up pivoting towards a strategic transaction with DB, Heineken and JoyLab.
We were engaged by Heineken to act as financial advisor on the transaction. We helped them devise transaction strategy, advised on valuation, and ultimately helped them negotiate the transaction with the Kapura side.
The key steps in the process was firstly understanding the strategic rationale and the combination of two businesses. Once we got comfortable with that, it was negotiating and agreeing the valuation with respect to the two different businesses, and then most importantly for our client, the rolling shareholders and the founders of Kapura, it was around what life would look like inside a large entity.
The transaction was very interesting and exciting to work on. It was very complicated, and ultimately, creating a bigger business and creating value for our client made it a very exciting transaction.
The key success factors are firstly two very motivated parties who wanted to get the transaction done, and also, even though the hurdles were massive at the outset, actually working through them systematically and methodically with really good advisors all over the transaction just meant you could work through them with ease and ultimately get the transaction done.
For Heineken, to make the transaction successful, it was critical to have the people who are going to run the business ultimately going forward aligned and incented to create value and grow the business. The transaction was very complicated, but ensuring that throughout all the difficult transaction negotiations, that alignment was kept between the founders and Heineken was important, and ultimately I think what made the transaction a success.
This transaction, most importantly for our client, has delivered an outstanding result. They've managed to take a little money off the table to set their families up, but also involved in a really exciting merged entity with the backing of Heineken. So it's a super exciting time for them, and that's obviously given us a whole bunch of joy to be able to advise them on the transaction.
Winning this award is not why we do what we do. We enjoy what we do, but certainly getting the recognition for what was a fantastic transaction is always appreciated.
Hopefully this transaction inspires others not to be daunted by a whole bunch of complex factors. You methodically work through it, have the right people around you. It's amazing what you can achieve. Take it step by step, and long may there be many more of these transactions to come.
For me, the key takeout of this award was the sheer complexity of the transaction that the advisors needed to deal with. I'd like to congratulate Forsyth Barr and Cameron Partners for the success in this year's BDO Mid-Market Transaction of the Year award. And I'd like to encourage other advisors to consider entering the INFINZ awards in the future.